It's been so long since I've made a YouTube video. I'm kind of not sure how to start this. Should I do it here? Should I do my intro here? Should I even film the video here? I think I'm gonna switch locations to the command center. Alexa, it's morphin time.
Welcome, Rangers.
Hey, what's up you guys? It's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be something, I don't even really know what I should call today's video. I'm just really excited to be sitting here filming and sharing something with you guys. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about my newest hobby and obsession, which is the Digimon trading card game. So if you guys haven't seen a video from me before, I know I haven't really established myself as anyone who was ever into trading card games or anything like that. But, and honestly, like, it hasn't been a hobby of mine for the past 10 years or so, if we're being real. But yeah, on this channel, I mostly make beauty and lifestyle videos. That's just something that I'm really into, is makeup and skincare. But there's just been this newest hobby that has been, like, consuming my life for the past 2 weeks. So I decided I wanted to put some content out there about this thing that I'm really excited for. So honestly, the reason why I've never made content like this before is because it's probably been over a decade now since I've been into a trading card game or anything like this. The last one would most likely be Yu-Gi-Oh, but I stopped playing that like a very, very long time ago, and at this point there are so many new rules, so many updates to the game that I don't even know if I could play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. So back in the day when I was younger, I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I ran like a Dragon Destroyer deck? Buster Blader. So I used to run a Buster Blader deck, and there was something else with the Harpies, I think, that I used to run. But anyways, that's not the point of today's video. So if you don't know anything about the Digimon trading card game, it recently came out in the US, I want to say like at the beginning of 2021, so right around January, and I kind of got into playing it I want to say 3.5 to 4 months into its release here. The first thing that I noticed about this game is that it was really, really hard to find anything to play with at the beginning, but I'm going to tell you guys a little story about how I got into it. And yeah, a few weeks ago, Bo went into our local comic shop, which is Subspace here in Linwood, Washington. He went in there and came out with his normal pull of weekly comics and also some booster packs of the Digimon trading card game. And he started playing with our friend Waylem. But it wasn't really until the starter decks came out that he really started playing, and he started with the red deck, and our friend Waylem, he started with the yellow deck and everything, and they were playing it for a while and got really into it. And as he was explaining it to me, I got really, really intrigued because it seemed really similar to some other card games that I've played in the past, even just casually, but without some of the more complicated rules. And because this trading card game was so new in the US, I felt like I could actually potentially get into it because there isn't so much for me to learn all at once, if that kind of makes sense. Just because there are other more established games that already exist and have a huge following and everything, and things update so quickly because there's just a lot of people on top of it, I felt like this was an accessible trading card game to someone who really hasn't picked one up in a very, very long time. So like I said, Bo plays the red deck, and he came home with the blue and yellow ones as well and meant to send them to a friend of his who lives in Texas, but one night I wanted to play and he offered one of them to me, so I opened the blue one, and the rest is history. From there, I was just on a winner's high after winning the first 2 games using just a starter deck. It was just so much fun, and the mechanic of there being a like memory gauge that goes back and forth between each player is really, really interesting and cool and fun to me. So that was really what got me hooked, was the unique game mechanics and how just beginner friendly it kind of was. Now of course, as you buy the booster packs and get more cards and you know, they have different effects and everything, the game does get a little bit more complicated and exciting, and it picks up the pace a little bit, but for the most part, you know, it feels really cool to be starting playing a card game pretty much at the beginning of its US release. I'm really hoping Digimon is something that kind of sticks around for a while because I'm having so much fun with it. And yeah, so I'm kind of making today's video mostly because it's just gonna be a brain dump. You know, living here in Washington and with the whole global pandemic and everything going on, it's been really hard to find people outside of my small, normal, safe circle who are also really into the Digimon trading card game. Again, because it is so new. Another really big issue right now is how difficult it can be for someone to get booster packs or cards, and even these starter starter deck. So I've heard that like a lot of people are having a really hard time getting access to these things, either because, you know, it's so new that, you know, their game shops or comic shops in the area aren't really carrying it, or because people are buying out the supply that these places have and are just raising the prices on them to the point where it's like, you know, what even is the point? That can be really intimidating. Thankfully, in my area, we've been actually able to get access to all of these things for a relatively low cost compared to what some things are going for online. Like, for example, we bought like entire boxes of both the V1 and version 1.5 release at a pretty decent price. I mean, it definitely is higher than the retail value, but it's nowhere near the resale value that we saw other people having to purchase these things for. But yeah, my solution to not really having anyone nearby me to understand my obsession was to just put it all out here online for you guys. Right now, I currently am running 2 different decks, and I have them right over here, and honestly, neither of these are like tournament worthy. They're just so much fun for me to play with. So in this deck box over here, I have my main blue deck, and it's probably about a fourth of what the starter deck was, and since then I've just kind of swapped out cards until I came up with something that was really fun to play with. And the main goal of my blue deck over here is to make the opponent trash as many Digivolution cards as possible, or to make them trash their Digimon altogether. Now in this white box over here is something that I call, it's my watermelon deck because of the pink card sleeves and the little, my green Digitomas down here. But this is a green deck that I put together using just stuff that we got from our booster pack. In these 2 deck boxes, there are definitely some standout cards which I wanted to share with you guys. I don't feel too crazy confident in the actual decks that I've put together, but for the most part I try to build them on my own, just with what sounds like fun to play, or with some sort of like advantage in mind, or with some sort of strategy in mind, and I tried to put together a deck around that concept. And then it really isn't until you actually get to play with the cards that you get to see how good the deck is that you put together, to see if you have a great ratio of like level 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. But yeah, in here are my 2 different decks that I've been playing with, and I'm going to show you guys some of my favorite cards. So the fun thing about this green deck is how intense the megas are for this deck. The 2 that I really like playing are the Rust Tyrannomon and the Bancho Stingmon, mostly because this one is something that I like to use a lot to force people to kind of trash it, and then that gives me an advantage with my other cards. This is kind of like the beginnings of what I want to be a blue Omnimon deck. So just like with the green deck, I'm going to show you guys 2 cards that I really enjoy playing. Okay, the 2 cards that I love playing the most in my blue deck are the Grizzlymon, which is a level 4 blocker. Honestly, just having a blocker in your deck makes the game so interesting because it kind of can act as a security card-ish. With this card, what I really like doing is baiting the other person, my opponent, into attacking this instead of my security card. But if the other person also has blockers in their deck, they know how to use them really well, and sometimes it doesn't work. Either way, it's a really fun card to have in your deck. And then the other one that I really like having is my red-blue Omnimon. I was so excited to pull this from my very first booster box, and yeah, it's just, this deck is so much fun to play with. I think with the game being newer and the fact that I've only really been playing for about 2 weeks now is I tend to forget some of the many effects that a card can inherit or have, so I don't know if I'm playing my decks as to their full potential is what I'm trying to say. But either way, it's just a game that I'm really excited about and wanted to share that with you guys. So nothing fancy really, and nothing really unique with the decks that I've been playing, but if you guys are interested in seeing a deck profile, I can put some more work into them until I feel confident in sharing that and putting it out into the world. Those are my 2 decks and my favorite cards in them. Bo runs a red deck. I would say that his deck, more than mine, is further away from what the starter deck for red was. And he's also come up with a really great purple deck, and the thing about purple that is really interesting is that a lot of times you're playing to trash your cards and you're playing from the trash, but it just seems like so much fun. I always joke that like on every turn he gets to draw 6, because by the end of playing a game with someone who has a purple deck, they have like 20 cards in their hand. It's insane. Yeah, so those are the 2 decks that I have. Those are the 2 decks that Bo has, and then we have in this box over here, we have the rest of the cards that we've collected over time. This would probably be the equivalent to 3 booster boxes worth of cards. We've taken a lot out from our starter decks as well and put them in here, so we have a good amount of every single color. Thankfully, we had a really good pull with the reds and the blues, so that's why we really tried to focus on building from our starter decks. But you know, with all the cards that we pulled from our boosters, we were able to create some side decks, some other colors that we were interested in playing with. So I told myself I wouldn't buy another booster box until May, which is when the version 2 release comes out in the US. I told myself I wouldn't buy another booster box until then, so I'm really trying to hold off on buying another one. And then when we end up doing that, maybe I'll do an unboxing on camera so you guys can see the kinds of cards that we pull. Another thing that I'm really interested in that I believe is also coming out in May is getting the new starter decks that are coming out. I don't know if any other colors are releasing except for green, but that's the one that I want. I don't really have very many people to talk about this with, so I would love to hear your replies in the comment section down below. What are you guys most excited about the Digimon trading card game? Do you play the Digimon trading card game? What are your top 2 favorite cards from your deck? Or what 2 cards are you really hoping to get when you open boosters? Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video, you guys. Just a shorter video and just something that I really wanted to talk about with others. It's a hobby that I've been enjoying and something that's been making the week go by really fast, because every night I get to play games or I get to look online and see what other people are doing. It's just something that's really fun. For all my subscribers who are here for my normal content, I do have videos that I have pre-filmed that I'm really excited to release for you guys. Some more of my career related content, and then some beauty and, you know, just lifestyle videos, things that I've made in the past. Yeah, you can expect to see those videos soon, but I wanted to put this one up first. Sorry. If you guys have an Instagram, please follow me at odangdanny with 2 eyes, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!